Pathmark is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmark qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with the relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmark to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmark.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Alise Houserman from Points North, Director of Marketing with them. How are you doing today, Alise?
I'm doing great, Ernesto. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being on with us today. And well, Alise, I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Points North is all about. So let's kick it off with that. In your own words, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Points North, we really are a compliance-based software company. So we have two main products. One focuses on government-funded work. So it helps automate the process of prevailing wage compliance. So we automate both the pre-payroll, which includes like rate management, rate validation, everything around fringes, and then everything post-payroll reporting. So all the reporting that's required to do publicly funded work with the government, we automate filling out and submitting those prevailing wage reports, which is awesome. And then our other product is ACA Reporter. An ACA Reporter really helps with the Affordable Care Act for any company that has 50 or more full-time employees. They're required to offer healthcare, and then they have to submit reporting to the IRS. So we have dashboards that help track all of that. And then we automate and support filing for the ACA. Those are our two main products.
Yeah, definitely. So then on that note then, so that way our listeners could get a good understanding there of Points North then, what would be that key problem that you guys like to solve?
Yeah, the big problem we solve really for both products is automating traditionally manual tasks regarding compliance. So you think about how much time it takes to fill out. So for certified payroll reporting, the Department of Labor says that it takes about 55 minutes on average for one report to be filled out for 5 employees. And for companies that are doing 5, 10, 50, 100 projects weekly with a varying degree of complexity, that end up being one to a full team of people that are filling out those certified payroll reports. And then same thing for the IRS for financing the Affordable Care Act is a very manual process to get all of the healthcare wallet stuff back and then get it all organized and submit it to the government. And we automate that process. So it's really time saving and cost savings. Those are kind of the two big pain points that we solve for.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. Great to hear that. So then, is there a certain vertical segment that you guys like to go for? Is there an ideal ICP for Points North?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with certified payroll reporting. It gets a little complicated because we have two products that do very different things and support very different markets. They do overlap a little bit. For certified payroll reporting, really our primary market is construction. But what we've seen over the last 2 to 5 years is there's a lot of new government-funded projects in green energy. So solar companies, wind companies, EV battery companies, and then manufacturing. So like semiconductors, all of the things for the Infrastructure Act, that is all government-funded work. So for certified payroll reporting, it's primarily construction and manufacturing. And then for ACA, it's really anybody with variable hour employees. So home healthcare companies, restaurants, car dealerships, any company that's 50 or more employees that don't always work the same hours every week.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Great to hear that. And so then that way our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you. They could always check you guys out at points-north.com. What role then does a website play for client acquisition?
Yeah, absolutely. It plays a huge role. We do have 3 websites. We have pointsnorth.com, we have certifiedpayrollreporting.com, and we have acareporter.com. So if you're really looking for like thought leadership and understanding on certified payroll reporting or ACA reporter, I always recommend going to our product website. All 3 websites are our primary driver of inbound acquisition. They are 100% where our clients find us, our prospects find us. And I don't know if that answered your question. But yeah, we have 3 websites and they all really drive traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And so talking about that then, is there a certain type of tool or strategy or method that you would recommend to your listeners to generate some website lead generation?
Yeah, I would say so. It's twofold. Let's start kind of from a strategic perspective, and then I'll talk about some tools that we find really helpful. Um, so we are a small but mighty marketing team. That's what we like to call ourselves. So we really rely on that. We have a SEO vendor that we leverage to help with the day-to-day kind of technical SEO and automated tasks to be able to help support the overall strategy for 3 websites. As you can imagine, it's a lot of work to be able to track Google, see what Google's doing, and be able to like consistently optimize for what works best for keywords and search traffic. So finding a really good vendor if you have a small team. And then some of the smaller tools that I found really valuable. I don't know if you've ever heard of the tool Keywords Everywhere. It's incredibly inexpensive. It sits right on like your phone, and you can search for keywords. Whether it's through a website. So if you want to look at competitive keywords, you want to look at industry keywords, we sometimes look at the Department of Labor and see where they're searching or where they're ranking to be able to understand where our clients are searching for things. And then we can best optimize our keyword strategy around whatever topics are getting a higher search volume, lower competition, mix of both. And we also leverage that for paid as well, which is great. So that's one small tool. And then I will tell you, I'm a big fan of HubSpot. We leverage HubSpot for our CMS. And I believe that the internal tools within HubSpot give you a really good baseline for really being able to track and optimize for inbound traffic. There's a lot of stuff that's already embedded in HubSpot, which I think is wonderful. And so if you're really starting out with an inbound strategy, having a tool that your CMS lives within that can give you a lot of analytical data, I think is really helpful.
Definitely.
Kind of too little. Well, HubSpot's a big tool. Keywords Everywhere is a little tool. And having a really good strategy and partner, if you really need a partner to be able to execute, I think it's critical.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. Great to hear that then. Thank you so much for sharing that with our listeners, Alise. And well, let's switch gears a little bit then, and let's talk about you as the leader there for Points North. You being the director of marketing, what are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Well, yeah, I actually spend quite a bit of my time working with our partners. So one thing that's really interesting about Points North is we integrate with a lot of payroll partners. And so part of my role as a leader is to kind of communicate and strategize with our partners on how best we can help support their clients to execute their prevailing wage and their ACA reporting needs. So that is definitely something that takes up a bit of my time. I am part strategy and part worker bee. So some days I'm writing and editing email copy. Other days I'm doing quarter head strat planning. We do really try hard to focus that we're working at quarter ahead. So a lot of what we're working on is what's coming for the following quarter because we're already in. So like we're in Q2, so we're already executing on what we want to accomplish from a strategic perspective of Q3. So a lot of work with partners, a lot of work with vendors, and we are very collaborative at Points North, which I think is really valuable. So I spend a lot of time with our sales team, with our implementation team, with our support team, to be able to gather information, whether it's for case studies or blogs or white papers about what our clients are facing and how we can best support them and give them the resources and tools that they need to make their jobs easier.
Okay, important. And so then, how do you stay up to date with all the marketing news, trends, strategies? Is there a preferred channel that you like to go with?
For a marketing perspective, I'm a big LinkedIn girl. I love LinkedIn. I follow a lot of thought leaders on LinkedIn. I do LinkedIn learnings that I try and do that for my professional development. So I'll hop on if I have a lunch break and watch a 30-minute session on marketing insight. And I do try and go to at least 1 or 2 events a year. I think that they're really important, and it's a great way to, one, find out about new tools and resources in the marketing space because there's so many new companies that are popping up all the time. And sometimes, in my opinion, the biggest and most well-known marketing tools aren't always the best. Sometimes the new and up-and-coming have the most innovative and fresh ideas and tactics that maybe I haven't heard of before. So events, and then I spend a lot of time reading, researching, and learning on LinkedIn.
Definitely, I love LinkedIn, right? Like you mentioned, thought leaders are giving away free things. So definitely that's a great source to have. Awesome to hear that. And well, let's jump into our next section then here, Alise, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
I hope so.
All right. Okay. First off, then, Alise, is what is the last book that you read?
The last book that I read, personal or professional?
The last one, it could be professional, it could be personal.
Okay. Well, I just reread The Last Castle by Janet Walls. It's one of my favorite memoirs. So technically, that is the last book that I have read.
All right. It's perfect. Also, some great read there for our listeners. Is there something that you liked about it? So that way you have to reread it again?
Yes, I'm a big fan of memoirs. I like hearing people's stories from their personal perspective of the experience. So I'm a big memoir girl. And it was one of the first memoirs that really made me fall in love with the genre. So I try to read it once a year.
Definitely. Okay. Great read there. Next up then is, what is one single thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
Oh, that's a great question. The next generation of what our product can do. The most I can share, but really looking into 2025 and 2026 and what's the long-term plan for our products and where we fit in the market.
Definitely important. Okay. Awesome. Next up then is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say uh, one these days, one thing that would be particularly relevant for me right now, because it's top of mind, is being able to integrate and understand the customer life cycle from a website inbound perspective at a very granular level. So we know, cookies are kind of going away. Things are changing from a Google perspective. And so really understanding like everything all in one place. So like the analytical aspect of like time spent on page, where they're spending time, heat mapping, all of that. And being able to really overlay that throughout the entire customer life cycle through support. So like seeing them when they first touch our website and interact with us, what they're reading, what they're digesting, and then really being able to understand what types of things they read and consume and appreciate on our website once they become a client. And hopefully they stay a client forever. So then we just continue to see what they're doing and understanding them at a contact level, not even just a company level. Now that's a pipe dream a little bit, but it would be a very cool dashboard to be able to look at and see the value.
Okay, great. Awesome. Then next up then is, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Yeah, one task that I would love to automate, which gets a little complicated with our partners, is automating our lead flow. I know it sounds very small, but because we're getting leads from a variety of different places, it's very hard to automate that into our CRM. So it's a traditionally manual task for us at PointSnore. We love doing it because I love when a lead comes in, we get really excited. Our sales team's all over it, but it is a bit of a manual process. And if I could figure out a way to automate it, I would love it. It would make my day.
Get that point. Some great insight there. Okay, awesome. And well, lastly, Alise, you have the experience in the marketing world, but what would be that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
Well, if I could give recently graduated, fresh out of college Alise one piece of advice, I would say that marketing is so much more than writing copy. I had my bachelor's degree in English, and so like that was originally the route that I took. And what I found is that I enjoy so many different aspects of marketing. I love the data, I love the analytics, I love overlaying, kind of being a little bit of a mad scientist. You put a little bit here, you test here, you get something different. And so I would tell young Alise, don't put guardrails around what marketing can do for an organization, and that, anything can be marketing. You just have to think about it in a little bit of a different way.
I would agree with that. Some great advice there for our listeners. Thank you so much for that, Alise. And well, we are coming to the end of the show here today, Alise. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. Say someone forgets everything about the interview today. What is that one thing they should remember about PointSnore?
I would say that the one thing that you should remember about Points North is that if you have compliance-related items, specifically in regards to the government, we have the ability to help automate and streamline your.
Well, there you guys heard it from Alise Houserman, Director of Marketing there at Points North. Check them out at points-north.com. Alise, thank you so much for being on with us today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode here at PathMonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Alise.
Thanks, Renata.